Hello again out there in Radio Land,
in in video land.
YouTube land, Spotify land, wherever you're joining us. Welcome. Welcome back. After a 2.5 week break, the brand of Big Vito T, we ride again, baby. Super kick weekly in the house. Man, I blew that.
Super Kick Weekly. Yeah, we're back.
Sp-
Uh, yeah, weekly. We're here.
Speaking of which, Vito, pretty
What
big
up?
news. I'm going to throw this out there before we get into our main
Oh,
course
happy
here.
late Thanksgiving.
Happy late
Anything?
Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to everyone
Yeah,
in
happy
general.
Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Yeah. What's up?
Uh, Vito, I want your thoughts on being the elite being over.
Ooh.
Big
No, they're
news
not
this week.
canceling they're not shutting off the YouTube channel, right?
You know, I just saw the headlines. I haven't actually read any kind of
The thing,
journalism.
they haven't been doing they've been doing like these shorts. Like Nemeth did a short, and like Cole Cabana and Brandon Cutler have been doing like these little shorts. So I'm hoping they just keep doing that small stuff and just like maybe get away from the hour or not hour long. They used to be hour long, like the 24, 30-minute shows that they were doing.
Not actually
If they
doing the
just,
series part.
yeah, yeah, if like Cutler or Nemeth or someone just throws up a 5-minute thing or because they're funny. It helps people get over. It does. BT has helped people get over. So if they just throw something up there, Nemeth do it or Cutler, just give people say, hey, you mind if I throw this up on BTE this week? No, go for it.
It
That
would
type
be a
of thing.
shame to blow it all up completely
Yeah,
because yeah, you have work that's been done. You
yeah,
know, all the
yeah.
YouTube
It's the
subs. It's a
first
big
one.
deal.
Yeah, it's the one that everybody says, oh yeah, I kind of went off that, but not to copy that. It's that one. You know what I mean? So for them to just cancel it all together, I really don't think that it should actually be done. They should just leave it there for that. That's my opinion.
I like that idea, but the series itself is
Yeah,
coming to an end, so it's an end
yeah,
of an
that
era.
sucks. For me, that does suck. I'm super entertained.
Pour some liquor out.
It has gone downhill. Ratings, the ratings have been going
Ratings have
downhill.
plummeted, brother.
But they've also been saying that about Dynamite
Oh,
and
jeez.
Collision. Oh,
I mean, this is something we've visited a time or two as far as AEW theory and you know we've went back. I don't know if we've done it on the show, but we've kind of had discussions about it back and forth. I'm like, bro, this is too much. You're like, it's never too much, you know. So like, I don't know.
attendance is down, ratings are down. Some say morale is down, but
Well,
it's good TV, I think, in my opinion.
do you have any kind of a theory
Damn good
as to
pay-per-view.
why interest is down? Is this a normal cyclical thing? We are in the dead middle of football
Uh,
season, of course. So I think that has a little to do with it.
Honestly,
But
I'll tell you what I think. I think it has to do 100% with the WWE because the and this my data comes from social media purely because there are people who refuse to even watch the AEW because it's not WWE, and just will not even give it a chance. And when they do watch it, I've seen this said on social media. When they watch it, it's like oh, this isn't WWE. I can't watch this. I can't connect to this because this isn't what I've been watching my whole life. So they're like, nope, not for me. So that's why I feel AEW isn't really, I mean, it's picked off the ground. That's no doubt. It's a well working wrestling company. But in my opinion, that's why the thing's going down because people are comparing it to WWE.
Well, I mean, if you if you run the numbers, you look at it like, okay, on average, Raw's still doing about what, 2.5 million, and then you have AEW, struggling to hit the million mark, on any kind of consistent basis. I mean, they were at one point. Either way, okay, let's give AEW credit, put them at 1 million. All right, 1 million potential viewers that they have right now on average. That's still, there's 1.5 million wrestling fans that they're
I'll go
missing
look it up.
somehow. They're missing those folks somehow, and yes, there is a very vocal, um, because it's like having the Monday Night Wars in the social media era, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so much more banter between fans possible than there ever was then. So yeah, everyone's kind of taking sides and wearing their side on their sleeve, which
Let's see.
is what it is. I mean, we're tribalistic by nature, of course. Um, I mean, that's kind of the whole thought on sports in general.
Yeah.
We're
Um,
tribalistic over our team, and most people identify as a member of the WWE team.
yeah. And it's hard for them to walk away from that. Why can't I pull up the ratings
Yeah,
for
bro.
Dynamite?
Imagine being born in like '98, and all you've ever really known in your life is the business how it is now. You didn't even
Yeah.
live through the Monday Night War, or like you did, but you were like 2 years old. Um,
Yeah. So you're born. So you're born in 2001.
it's got to be weird for those fans, but I also think at the same time, let's compare AEW to basically uh, like early '90s WCW, but like way better, of course, from like a product standpoint. But that's like basically where they are. Like they're a good, solid company. Um, but I don't know.
And at some point they buy the NWA, and then at some point they go head to head with WWE, and then at some point Vince McMahon buys them.
It
Is
could
that where we're
eventually
at?
happen. It
Is
could
that what
eventually
leads us
happen.
to today's video?
Right. They, that's a good way to circle it all around.
I
Yes.
mean,
The effects, basically, yes. I mean, the effects of all this we're feeling to this day here. And we'll circle back around to that if we can. But yes, if we go back in time to a simpler time, 2001.
great TV, man.
In our last episode, we covered the very final WCW Monday Nitro and the Raw that was concurrent to it. And so basically, the idea of this exercise was to review the actual invasion itself step by step. So, apart from a brief appearance in the stands at WrestleMania 17, we don't really see hide nor hair of any of the WCW people until this show that we're about to review, which skips us all the way to May 28th, 2001. So almost basically a 2 months 2 months it took them between WCW getting acquired and them finally getting this thing up off the ground. So I know there's probably a lot of stuff that happened in between. We had I know we at least had one pay-per-view in between that, if not two. We're coming off of, and I know for a fact from watching this show that we're coming a week away from the Triple H quad tear.
Mm-hmm. That was just the week before this.
Right.
Yeah.
So the two-man power trip, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold turned heel at Mania. That's something else that happened in the meantime, which we could do a whole show on.
A lot of ECW guys started showing up in this time.
Oh, okay. So they had filtered in.
Yeah, ECW started filtering in
some ECW wrestlers, but they weren't necessarily part of any kind of an angle as of yet. Okay.
No, but they started coming in at this time.
And you got Heyman there on commentary.
Yeah.
And
he was there during the thing, but yeah, because Rhino had come in and the Dudleys were also there before, but during this time a lot of ECW guys are coming in, setting up what comes the next few months.
From a behind the scenes perspective, we look at it like I'm sure, we hear that Vince initially had the idea to actually go full throttle with this. You hear the old story about how he wanted to turn, Raw into Nitro, and then SmackDown would be WWF or whatever. Of course, you can't just make a TV deal appear out of thin air. We know that that's how it works. Today there's a long, there's a bidding process and all this, and a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen in order for that to happen. So he couldn't just create a TV show out of nowhere, time slot out of nowhere, rather. So they had this property, and I guess at some point they just decided that since they weren't going to do any of that, this was essentially their plan B, right? From what I understand it.
I actually don't know any of that background, I guess.
Right. Essentially, this is plan B, what we go into here. Now, I don't know what the initial plan would have been.
It took them 2 months to work on it.
Right. It took them 2 months for them to circle
back around to this. Let them marinate and miss those guys on WCW. Let them try to remember everyone who was on that last Nitro.
Who knows? I could imagine Vince trying to, frantically make phone calls for a month straight, trying to work out, trying to beg the, at the time, I don't think they were on USA. They were on TNN still.
Yeah, TNN.
Yeah, they had just moved to TNN, which I've talked about this before, was an overall boneheaded move for them to follow that money, because they went from Raw doing like 6s on USA, and when they switched to TNN, they were in like 2 million less homes. So they started doing like 4s, 4.5s.
Did it change when they changed to Spike TV?
I don't think so. I think it pretty much stayed consistent. They were in like the 4.5s, for Raw once they moved, which was still great. But I remember thinking that at the time, like, man, they just threw away, 2 million viewers, just said, see you later, and took more money to have less viewers over on TNN. And then when they went back to USA years later, those people weren't even there. They had less people. They were down in like the threes.
Wow.
And regardless of all that, you know, and then TNA was on Spike for years, but couldn't even get into the ballpark that WWE had. You know, WWE pulling fours. TNA did what, like a
1.5.
like a 1.2 once at best. Like when they try, like, you know what I mean? Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
So that brings us to this Raw that we're going to talk about, the May 28th Raw. I think that about brings us to it.
Yes, I think we're here.
There's so much to catch up on. We could have done like a whole intermediate podcast probably.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this show, Vito. This is where the WCW invasion, for all intents and purposes, kicks off, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
So
We'll talk about that a little later, but it is Shane starts his gimmick.
Shane O'Mac. Well, Vince and Jericho start off this show.
Well, let's just say that TLC 3 was on the SmackDown before this. A 4-way TLC 3 was on SmackDown the week before this Raw. How crazy is that?
It's Forgotten TLC match. It was the first time they had ever had one on TV, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember it being a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was. And Jericho and Benoit retained their title. Weird.
Remember actually watching SmackDown that week, because at that point I had basically stopped paying attention to it. So,
But before Vince comes out, okay, I got to ask you a question. Did you understand the whole Undertaker's wife letter carrier thing? Did you get that?
the
About JR talking about how there's a letter from or for Undertaker's wife from a letter carrier.
I did not catch that.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, I
then he
saw the
repeated it.
stalker thing later.
Yeah, well, JR said it in the beginning, and then he repeated it again later on in the show. I wrote it down again somewhere. But yeah, he said it in the beginning and then repeated again. Something about Undertaker's wife letter, or Undertaker's wife letter carrier. Something. And then we had the stalker video later that we'll discuss. Which, yeah. But yes. Anyway, Vincent, Calgary.
I think potentially they had started that angle a week or two before, but don't quote me on that. So maybe it was some sort of a continuation, but when I saw it on this show, I thought it was where that had started as well, but maybe not. Vince and Jericho, they start off with a talking segment. This was great. Benoit comes out. Basically, the whole thing leads to them making fun of Vince doing the stand back from the slammies, which I believe is a bit that has been used at least a couple times since then, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Triple H and Shawn Michaels have used it too.
See, there you go.
I like the little verbal back and forth jab where Vince says that Jericho had a Canadian mic, and Jericho said, "You got $1 billion company, you can get a microphone that works." I was like, dude, that is awesome. I was like, Jericho won that one. I thought that was funny. And I thought Jericho did a pretty good impersonation of the Fink when he said Mr. McMahon. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty good.
Mr. McMahon.
Yeah. I put a couple more notes here. He called Stephanie a slut again. I didn't like that. We got 2.5 months later, still calling Stephanie a slut. Uh, see here. Oh yeah, he was asking him where he got the video from, and the first thing that came to my mind was the WWE Network Beta
Right.
edition.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Uh, then I remembered that he wrestled Big Show on the last video that we watched on that Raw. He
Right.
wrestled against Big Show on that show.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
right.
thought that was impressive. Yeah.
Because that ends up
Yeah.
happening again tonight.
Yeah. Those are the notes I wrote.
Now I
Forgot.
did
Damn it.
this. And basically the moral of the thing is that Jericho trying to get a title shot from Stone Cold. Both Jericho and Benoit are basically gunning for gold at this point. This eventually ends up building to a triple threat match at the next pay-per-view, but this is kind of the groundwork, them keeping this feud going. And of course, this had to have been a change of plan, right? Because of the whole Triple H thing. If Triple H doesn't tear his quad, we possibly get another tag team match this week. Maybe it was going to be a 4-way. There's a lot of different scenarios.
Triple H would still be in the title picture for sure.
Exactly. The 2-man power trip does not break up. Hunter doesn't go on the injured reserve. We don't get the big babyface return months later. It's really
no.
Some major decisions were made when they went into this show, and that's what makes me think almost that part of that whole Triple H thing and part of what they do with this whole WCW thing, they're like, okay, well, we might as well roll this out now since our plan for Triple H isn't working, or maybe they already had this to go concurrent with what was going on, but I thought it was interesting. We then move on to X Factor versus the Hardys. X Factor, of course, we had to dub over the Uncle Kracker version of their song with some generic.
Sad. I was so sad.
Yeah, right? That was one of the best.
Yeah. Eddie wearing the Hardy gear was a little weird for me.
Right?
He had the full sleeves and everything. I was trying to remember back. I'm like, why is he hooked up with these guys? I couldn't remember why Eddie was with the Hardys for some reason. Did they explain it? Did I miss why he was with them? Was it a Lita thing? Was he hooked up with Lita?
The only thing I can think of is that this was the same year that they started with the whole Latino Heat thing with him in China.
Yeah.
So, or wait a minute, maybe
China.
No, wait a minute. Maybe that happened the year before, actually.
You know my memory; it's no good.
Because Eddie came in January of 2000, so I guess that happened actually the first year. Because China's long gone. China was not on this show at all, so she's gone.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's something we should have looked that up. Damn it.
I'm going from the show to show. I'm not looking up past stuff at all on this.
Yeah, now we're locked in. You know, so it's like we either remember it or we don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
If you want a historic breakdown of these things,
that's not us.
There's other podcasts that'll do that sort of thing for you. We just kind of want
to
talk
in
about
the
this
moment.
shit. All I know is, bro, is that after watching this match, this made me remember the fact that the star of the show, as far as the Hardy Boys goes, always was, always will be, Lita's thong. All right? Let's just call it what it is, all right?
VP right there.
Right. I
Uh,
mean,
yeah, I was always a fan of all those guys. I was watching the match and I was like, man, I missed all these dudes. You know, like I mean, I know I get to see two of them uh, somewhat often, not very often, but somewhat often.
would
But
the
I was a
Hardys
fan
have
of all those
gotten
guys.
would they have gotten as over as they got without the thong? That's what I want to know. If we can go back in time, like, I think people thought they were pretty cool, but then, like, that just kind of put it over the edge.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
But they had a little match here. I didn't
Yeah.
really write much down about it. Did you take notes on the match itself? Those were
I
my
just
only
thought
thoughts.
I thought it was just a really good match. It was solid action, you know. They hit all their good moves. I always like Just Incredible. I was always a fan of Just Incredible.
For sure.
The match went 341. Hardy Boys won, of course.
Well, we go from there into a backstage segment with Trish and Terry, where they're having
Fighting over a mirror.
yes, they have a woman argument over a mirror.
They're having a mirror match.
Yeah. So I guess a reasonable enough thing for a couple women to argue over.
Yeah.
And we find out that they're apparently going to be in a mixed tag match against each other later during all
Yeah.
this. So then we get
Intergender match.
yes,
Yes.
intergender. Oh,
Yes.
okay, I got you.
I was confused too until it started going down, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen one of these in a while."
Right. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is back when the gloves were still off, right?
Yep. So then we were in. I forgot about this little team, this little backstage team, William Regal and Tajiri.
These were always good segments.
Oh, comedy gold. He's telling him where to hang the picture of the queen. He's not even looking. Up to the left. Nope. Up, little more, little more. Yep. Over there. Yep. Oh man, I love that. Then Albert busts in and he breaks it, drops it. Oh man, good stuff. That's good comedy right there.
Eddie Guerrero ends up in there, right? That's what I had. I put something with Eddie. I don't know. I guess I was just like, I guess I
Uh,
didn't hear it or something. I just wrote something with Eddie. That's all I have.
I don't know. Albert went in there and broke the queen.
So who the fuck?
And then the next
Who the fuck
note I
knows?
have is lots of strobing. I don't remember. I think I closed my eyes.
Huh.
And then I have Rhino versus Benoit is my next note.
Yes, we got Rhino Benoit. They did a sweet
And the
ending here.
referee, let's not overlook the referee of this match.
Nick Patrick.
No, what? No, Teddy Long.
Oh yeah. I tell you, I don't know.
Playa. It was Teddy Long.
Yep, this is
I was caught off guard. I was like, WWE had a black referee back in the '90s or back in the early 2000s, and then I was looking at him. I was like, holy shit, that's Teddy Long.
yeah.
Playa. Anyway, I had to throw that out there.
Dude, I remember us discovering that back in the day. Me and my brother, we were like, oh my God, is that Teddy Long? Like, how come Teddy Long's a ref? He should be managing, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Why isn't he managing Doom? Like, Ron Simmons is there, I don't know. But, yeah, no, but sure enough, it
yeah,
was Teddy and,
yeah.
he paid his dues as a ref and then never went really back to managing. He got to be the GM player,
Making tag team matches.
tag team match player.
Yep.
Bro, they did an awesome finish in this match. Well, I mean, at least the spot where Benoit countered the gore into the crossface.
Oh, he snapped that. I have that written down here too.
Yeah. Oh man, that
Yeah,
was great. God.
he snapped the crossface down. I thought he like broke his arm down or
Right.
something. Oh man, that was cool.
Man, Benoit. Why did he have to be a murderer?
Yeah, what a dick.
Dude was so good.
Oh
God.
man. Ugh.
Just
Anyway.
sucks. All
Boo.
that work, you can't appreciate it now, you know? It's just
Yeah,
bullshit. But that's all I
asshole.
have pretty much for that. Um,
Yeah.
they play a recap of Trish and Steve Blackman thing from SmackDown, where they were behind one of those room separators, and
Yeah, that was funny.
the whole gag is that
Oh
his
man.
kendo stick is his Johnson, and
Yep.
someone pops in, and someone,
Crash Holly, I think.
yeah, one of the Hollies or something pop in, and they're like, oh my gosh. So there's that. And then we went into, so then that brought you up to speed for this intergender tag team match that we had.
Yep.
Trish and Steve Blackman against Saturn and Terry. Bro, I
So,
mean, wow.
Terry and Perry.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
could just
Terry
call
Perry.
them Perry. And the sad thing is they were doing the concussion storyline for Perry Saturn.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hate
this
it.
was,
It
well,
was
right.
bad.
Well, this was after he shot on that kid. And
Oh,
that's why they gave him that gimmick.
yeah.
So like, yeah, he was wrestling an enhancement guy. The enhancement guy pisses him off. So he like shoots on the kid and freaks out. And then after that, they decided to punish him by giving him this "you've been hit on the head" gimmick and you're stupid,
Yeah.
basically.
So
So,
the whole thing of this about being an intergender match, the one time it was about to have an actual intergender um, connection, it was avoided. It got taken out. So it might as well have been a mixed tag. But either way.
a huge tease, if you
Yeah.
will.
But it was in this match where the kickoff got kicked.
I had a lot to write down here. I had so many thoughts spilling out into me. First and foremost, this show already was just completely schizophrenic compared to
Oh,
how Raw is nowadays. You know what I mean?
Benoit and Rhino went 328.
See, there you go. 3 minutes, 28 seconds. Uh, Terry left nothing to the imagination here.
No.
She's wearing like a nude bathing suit, basically. And it's all the way up her ass. So there was that. There was a spot where Blackman throws Terry behind his back, which was interesting. Used her as a weapon. Lance Storm runs in, helps Blackman. Okay, so yeah, I'm just reading, glancing over it. This is where it happens.
Yep.
We get Lance Storm running in. Lance Storm
Is the first WCW person of
fires
the
the first
whole
bullet.
roster of all the people from WCW. They choose Lance Storm.
Yep,
Unless you count the won't say the name of the person spoilers who's did the Undertaker wife letter carrier thing. If that started last week, like you said.
right.
But Lance Storm is the first person we see on TV from WCW.
So
There
the
could have been better people, right?
there could have
I
been
mean,
someone better,
Buff
right?
Bagwell wouldn't that have
No
been
dis
cool?
no disrespect to Lance Storm.
Oh no, this is.
None at all. But I mean,
I mean,
Lance
Buff would have
Storm,
been cool, right?
it was a little underwhelming, a little weird. No one really cared about him running in. At this point, it's been 2 months, so like, who remembers Lance Storm from WCW anyway?
Yeah,
But I mean, Ross did put that over on the commentary, and then so it'd be one thing if they had the guy run in, but they have him run in and attack Steve. Oh no, they have him attack
Saturn.
Saturn and help Steve Blackman win. Just the most random. It was just like the most random thing ever.
And then
Steve Blackman.
Dean Malenko just looked at him like he was crazy,
Right.
and then he got out and left. And it's like, okay.
And then
And then
they come back from commercial and you see him running out and jumping in Shane's car. They're like
yeah,
celebrating. Yeah, we got him. Yeah, we just fired the first shot.
yeah, it's on. Yeah.
And then they drive away. So
Then there's a video for the new Tough Enough.
also Heyman immediately on commentary says that he has nothing to do with it. So he's already planting the seeds of this whole thing,
Yep.
which I thought was interesting from moment one. And then as they're talking in between the commercial break, when they got the close up on him and JR, I believe that's when he says it. You know, he tells JR, "You realize what's happening, right?" He says, "You know what's begun," and JR just kind of plays it off. They show Storm leaving. Of course, we just covered that. Vince chews out the security for letting him in. And that's it. That's how we start the WCW invasion. So
With Lance Storm.
with Lance Storm and a lame duck situation, you know they had to have regretted this, right? I
Yes.
mean, regardless, it ended up being fine. And, you know, obviously we know how this ends with Invasion being like,
Unless they wanted to start like that. Because it was, I mean, it was a pop, but not, they probably wanted, I can't really say what they wanted, but they could have wanted something a little obscure. Because if they wanted something big, they could have sent Booker T out there. You know what I mean?
right,
They had to have wanted someone who was a little obscure. They had to know what Lance Storm brought to the table. They could have sent Scott Steiner out there, although he didn't get signed, but
right. Well,
they could have sent anybody.
apparently they had DDP in the wings, but
Yeah,
instead they decided to do this, you know, thing with him
weird.
and Taker,
Uh,
which
I hated that.
I
We'll
mean,
talk about that
yeah,
eventually.
which is what it is. But no, this is where it all starts. This is
Yeah,
basically the point why we're reviewing, you know, this specific show is to talk about this.
but the next thing that happened before the next match uh, was the backstage thing with the Dudleys and the Hollies. Now, I was watching the little thing between Spike Dudley and Molly Holly. I always liked that little couple. And later on, she had the same thing with Hurricane, uh, Mighty Molly. They,
mm-hmm,
she always did the cool little meetup things with the small guys. Uh, but I kind of noticed that Spike and Molly had a little Romeo and Juliet thing going. You know, the
right.
two families don't want them together. You know,
It's the most classic
uh,
storyline there is.
yeah. AEW has it right now with Cool Hand Ange and Ruby Soho.
Right.
Soraya and Daddy Magic are like yelling at each other, stopping them from doing getting together or whatever. Just a little thing I wanted to point out there. A couple of times that's happened in the past.
I've seen bits and pieces of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, be that as it may, that's how this starts. That's how they decided to start this thing. And we should have known that it was DOA at this point. And as we go through this angle, we will, I think, uncover a lot more stuff like this. It's a miracle that the Invasion pay-per-view did 1 million pay-per-view buys, because they really just were not even trying with this. We know now, all these years later, that it's just not the way you start this thing. It's just not the way you start something like that. The NWO made an impact because they came in and were a legit threat. Wasn't some random chicken shit run-in thing.
Yeah.
Like, they came in to kick ass. Same thing years later with the Nexus. That's why that got over immediately, because they actually put them over immediately.
Yeah. Shield,
same thing. Yep, absolutely. Yep. You got to give these guys some strength in order for them to be the believable adversaries and a worthy adversary, or else it's just kind of there. And that, and essentially, that's the biggest mistake I think they made with this. But
yep, they came in more as like the bratty little brother instead of the dominant other company.
Very much like a lamb and not like a lion at all.
That's right.
To quote the old cliche. But then we get
and ProWrestlingFandom.com doesn't even have a time for that match. So what that tells you.
They were too shocked. They were too shocked at the Lance Storm run-in, I guess. I don't know.
No time, so.
They get Al Snow at WWF New York. He's trying to explain Tough Enough, which is a weird thing, you know, the fact that all these years later, you know, him having to like try to explain the concept. And he made a great line that said something about, I know, you know, it's another reality show, but
yeah, I heard that.
It's good. And I'm just like, bro, visit us 20 years later. That's all it is still.
I thought it was awesome. I was like, this is going to work out.
Then they show Heyman and Ross again. Heyman continues to deny he had anything to do with the Lance Storm thing, obviously. I mean, he's really overselling it at this point that there's something afoot.
Yeah. Well, maybe because, you know, Lance Storm was a ECW wrestler at one point, so maybe Heyman's like, you know, he's on the unemployment line. I just want to make sure that he's not my guy. I don't know. That's kind of what I took it. Because Lance Storm, when I think of Lance Storm, I think of ECW, not WCW for him.
Yeah, true. Me too. I mean, that's the way it is with a lot of these guys. WCW tried to poach a lot of them. WWE pulled a couple of them. You know, Taz was there, Dudley's, etc.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, now we get to the Dudley's thing. They show Spike Dudley and Molly Holly in the back. They're trying to kiss. Angle interrupts them. Spike ends up slapping him because he disrespects Molly, and they brawl. Angle slams him into this like guard wall thing that they had set up. It was freaking vicious as heck. And Molly runs to the Dudley's locker room to go get them to help, which ends up being a bad move because as soon as they come out of the dressing room, they get jumped by the Holly cousins. So naturally, they blame Spike and they blame Molly. They don't trust Molly. They believe that it's all a setup. I think I pretty much covered that, right?
Angle was giving them like this classic after school special about like hooking up and
Yes. Yeah.
being abstinent and stuff. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good part of Kurt's gimmick then.
yeah. So
So
I did do a tiny bit of research for this. The Giant and Jericho never wrestled in WCW. Not that I could find anyway.
I believe
I
it.
thought I thought for sure they did, but I could not find it anywhere.
Yeah, they didn't really let Jericho work with a lot of the main event guys. I mean, the only time he really got to do that was the Scott Hall thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, he was working with the cruisers mostly. Well, and then there was that little Goldberg thing, but that didn't even actually turn into anything, right? They never ended up having the match, or did they? I don't remember.
Jericho and Goldberg?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I know that was a big. He basically made up that whole storyline on his own without any kind of like management approval, and he thought that it was going to end in a Goldberg match, but then they decided not to do it.
Yeah, I don't remember all that.
Instead, they just had him squash like a midget Goldberg or something. Something happened like that. I don't know. It was weird.
Gilberg?
Yeah.
Is that the Gilbert thing you're talking about?
No, no, they did the Gilberg was a straight WWF deal.
Oh, that was hilarious.
So yeah, we get Jericho and Big Show.
A lot of cool weapon moves in that.
Hardcore title match, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. A lot of cool weapon ideas thrown out there.
Um, yeah, I mean, at this point, and yeah, it also should be noted that there is a thing going on with Jericho and Vince where he's basically telling him that uh, he'll be watching his work tonight,
Yeah, see if he's
possibly.
impressive.
Right. Possibly
He's got
going
to
to
be
give him the
more
title.
impressive than Benoit.
Uh, so Jericho wins, I guess. Rhino gores him at the ramp and ends up winning the hardcore
Okay.
title right there on the ramp.
So he wins with a really cool drop kick and then a lion salt. It was pretty sweet.
Gotta
And
love
then
that lion
he
salt.
he wins in 4 minutes and 31 seconds. So far, that's the longest match of the night. All right. Retains his hardcore title. Goes to the ramp. Has a huge gore from Rhino and gets pinned. Okay. ProWrestling.fandom.com tells me here that the Rhino Chris Jericho match went 7 seconds. So it took him 4 seconds to do the gore and then to climb onto him to start the pin. So there you go.
It's hard to quantify those hardcore matches because, you know what I mean? They just kind of
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
There's no bell start. They just kind of start.
Yeah. I know. God bless that 24-hour hardcore match. Man. Me and my friends, we had one in high school. We
Nice.
had a 24-hour belt. It was the ugliest thing, but so was the hardcore belt.
Right.
Uh, we upgraded it when we had the chance to, but we had a 24/7 rule, and we would get even a binder. One time, my friend got a binder and like held it against my back and kind of pushed me against like that, and my other friend got down and counted it.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
ah! I was like, what the
So
heck,
you
man?
lost to the binder?
I lost with my shoulders on a binder.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
So you could always dispute the finish.
yeah. My shoulders were down, but I wasn't on like a mat. I was on a binder.
That's
Oh
freaking
man.
great.
Yeah, some of the things we always had. Oh man, it was a lot of fun.
It was a great concept. Of course, they dug this concept up again for the 24/7 title years later, which is now also defunct.
Yeah, not as
So,
good. There was never people chasing after the hardcore title.
not to be confused with the beep hardcore title.
No, not that one either.
Oh boy. All right. So,
Uh, yep.
Albert versus Eddie Guerrero.
Oh,
You know,
that.
if they would have gave these guys some time, I think they could have had a pretty cool match. But this was Raw in 2001, and giving matches time more than 2 or 3 minutes was just not happening, brother. Doesn't work for me,
Um,
brother.
did you notice that at the beginning of the match that the ring was mic'd louder than the commentators? Did you hear that? I could hear Albert yelling more than I could hear JR talking.
Oh wow, they
Yeah.
must have had one of those weird cross mic, cross wire things happening at the
Yeah,
moment.
it was weird. I even looked over and asked Laura, I was like, "Do you hear that?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird." I can hear him grunting in the ring, and I was trying to turn up the TV so I can hear what him and
Hmm.
JR were saying. But
Maybe they were
one of
trying to mute what they were saying. I don't know. It's
the
weird.
power bomb to attempted her Karana spot was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. And then he ended up turning it to just like I don't even know what you call that, a squash, I guess, or he just landed on his chest.
Yeah, it's like a
Nice butt bop.
yeah,
But that gave me a good laugh. Thought that was funny.
a modified Brandon dance. Ever told you about the Brandon dance?
No, you got Brandon dance?
The Brandon dance was my finishing move when I was a child. We're talking a little child, and I would wrestle with my big brothers.
Yeah.
And basically, what it was they would be laying like prone on their back, and then I would get up on their chest or their stomach or whatever, and I would like dance around. I'd do like a little dance, and then I would just plop down and like sit on them. That was the Brandon dance. That was my finisher.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, what'd she call it? Uh, I don't know what she called it, but it was like a willow bump bop or willow bump drop or something like that. Pretty much the
Similar then?
same,
Yeah.
similar thing with just without the dance. It just got right down to business. It
Right. Well,
just butt the chest.
I was a huge fan of, Wildfire Tommy Rich and Rugged Ronnie Garvin. So, stuff like that. Yeah.
So the dance had to be there.
Right. It had to be there.
Yeah, got it.
That was
Got it.
all the rage at the time.
So I was kind of bothered by something at the end of this match. They said that Albert was distracted uh, by Lita. Did you see that?
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see? Did you see that he was distracted by Lita?
I mean, not necessarily, but
No,
they,
I don't think he was faced that way before Eddie had done the move. So I was like, oh, I didn't even see Lita. And then she had come this way, and then he was like not looking that way. He was faced this way. She was over here, and Eddie had done the move, and I was like, "Wait, what?" He
it's
was not.
one of those announcer cover ups, I think,
Yeah,
is what that
yeah.
was.
I was like, "No, you're bluffing me." So
That would be
yeah,
our
I caught that.
That would be like a cue that I used to get from the wrestling company, from one of the people. Just say this. Well, that's not what happened. Well, just you know what I mean? Just sell it
Yeah,
like that is what happened.
yeah.
Okay.
They do that a lot now in
you know,
AEW.
right.
Uh, and they also correct it in AEW. I like they do that now. It's like, oh yeah, do it in the corner. It's like, oh yeah, he kicked him right in the head. Well, looks like he might have got him in the shoulder, but it's like, oh, that was good of you to actually give it to him. The one commentator will say, yeah, right up against his temple, and it's like, well, it looks like he might have got him, in the back of his shoulder, or maybe closer to his arm.
Bro, it is a lot harder than it seems. You know what I mean? That's all I'll really say about that is, and it's such a fine line between like being a credible announcer and trying to just try to toe the company line,
Yeah,
like the toeing the company line comes first, um, regardless, even if it makes you look silly, which is something that I kind of struggled with, but um, in retrospect now, probably the right thing overall. But yes, it can make you look like a fool, especially when everything is on tape and it can be drug over years later.
oh,
um, so then
but
we get the angle we were talking about, right?
yeah, the video of some creepo creeping outside Undertaker's wife,
The
Sarah,
Undertaker's wife,
the one from his neck. Remember that one?
Sarah. Yeah,
His
Sarah with
wife?
no H.
No.
I don't
Uh,
trust Sarahs without H's
no,
in
need
their
the
name.
H. Um, so, so, do we want to give spoilers of who it is, or do we want to wait?
I
Let's wait.
mean, I mean,
Uh,
either way, we
it's
know
a
where this is going.
it's a dud either way. Not a Dudley, but a dud nonetheless. The reveal is anticlimactic. Everything about this whole thing is just icky, and I'm gonna use that word, icky. I
I
don't like it.
I do not remember this Lance Storm run in, but I remember watching. I remember these segments well.
Yeah,
I mean, they definitely made an impression because they were so different. I can remember that it was intriguing, at least, as they develop it, which we'll get into.
yeah,
Um, just the big mystery of who it is. Who doesn't love a good mystery? I mean,
yeah.
we're living one right now with the devil mask, right?
Ooh, the devil mask.
Drag that out as long as we can,
Have you
which
read online the ideas of who it could be?
there's a lot of ideas and theories I've read, but you know what my theory is?
Huh.
My theory is that Tony doesn't even know who it is yet. He's like waiting. He's waiting for like someone really good to sign or something to like reveal it. That's what I think. I don't think we're gonna find out till like next summer, bro. Seriously. I don't think Tony even knows.
Oh shit, that's funny.
He's just
Oh
like, well,
shit.
eventually it's like the Black Scorpion thing, Like
Oh
you're
man.
hoping for the warrior or someone, but like yeah, I think that's kind of Tony's thing, is he's waiting till he signs someone big and then have him be it. I don't know.
All right, so back on. Oh, we're in the back now, and Benoit gets the nod.
You're right.
I thought that was so funny. He said, "Well, both of you were impressive, but Benoit, you get the nod."
This was
Oh,
just such a weird way to do this. You
I
know what I
know.
mean?
I thought it was just in like a it wasn't like a hallway or it like all the way in a room. It was like you walk through a door and there's like a gap of an area. It's like they caught him in like a corridor of some sort. Oh man, it was so
Yeah.
weird of a spot to tell him.
And
I thought maybe
after watching this part of it, I was like confused because I'm like, man, what? Like, are they friends now? Like, what is it? Like, Vince doesn't really, he's not really acting like evil Vince McMahon towards these guys. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's just kind of being weird. It
And
was
after,
it was very awkward.
it was very in the middle, yes. And then he's like, "Where did you get that footage, pal?" And Jericho's just like talking to him, like, I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, I thought "you get the nod" was a funny line to use.
They played the whole thing off like it was all a joke, and they were all in on it. It was just strange.
Yeah.
Um, but I did also notate that beyond the announcers, possibly a little bit, and Vince McMahon, absolutely nobody is concerned about Lance Storm showing up. You notice that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not one wrestler is worried.
Yeah. No one
Nobody
said
else is
anything
talking
about it.
about it.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Eh,
business as usual.
yeah. Almost like everything in the back is pre-taped.
So that's another misstep, I think, because that was something that helped sell the NWO invasion. Once again, hate to keep going back to that, but
Yeah.
that,
Everyone was talking about the outsider who kept coming in.
right. And
Who is
everyone
this
was
guy keep coming in
concerned.
there? Yep.
The announcers were worried. I mean, everyone was worried as hell. And I think that made it effective, but they decided not to do that here. We get Regal, Tajiri, and this time with Vince. They send Tajiri for coffee.
Yeah.
Uh, he says Austin has a great idea for the main event. And he tells Regal that he should be watching or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Then he says, "Bloody foreigners." Oh man, that got me.
then we get Dudley's and Holly's in a tables match. Dudley's go over here. They try to Bubba Bomb Molly through the table. Spike gets in the way, but Bubba does it anyway.
So
Those damn Dudleys.
I just want to say a line that JR threw out there, or either JR or Heyman, one of the commentary guys. He says, and I quote, "Crash left a perspiration mark on that table." That was a line used in wrestling.
All right.
Crash left a perspiration mark on that table. Cool. And he
What was
slid down it.
it was either that or some oil or some spray tan or something.
Oh man, that's funny. I had thought I really liked the 3D through a table. I think
Oh
that's a
yeah,
cool move.
for sure. The 3D is just awesome in general.
Yeah. But when Bubba's on the other side of the table, waiting for you to come over. So, I got a question on the next segment.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Moving on. Um,
This
uh,
is the Triple H video package and
yes.
all that. Okay.
Yes, it was the short time that we had a medical special on and forgot we were even watching wrestling.
Right. Yeah.
It was a
Like, wait
good
a
chunk
minute.
of time.
This is a Triple H documentary? Oh yeah,
It
that's right.
was
It's
like
Raw.
it was a full-on surgery. Like
Yeah.
it showed a lot of stuff. It was really interesting.
Right.
Uh, was he out for the whole invasion?
Yes.
Huh. That's
He
really
was
interesting.
he was gone not a trace. This is the last time we see. I mean, I'm sure they replayed this video on the next couple shows, possibly.
Until Royal Rumble, right? Is this the year he came back at Royal Rumble? 2002?
The Rumble was his first match back, but he actually came back on like the Raw like a week or two before that Rumble to announce
Oh,
that he
okay.
was going to be in it.
Oh, okay.
It was huge. I remember if you guys want to hear a pop, one of the biggest wrestling pops in history, that's one of them. Sticks out in my mind. That Triple H return in early 2002. Goosers. I remember watching it live. It was great. It was a big deal.
So after we get the medical documentary, we got the guy who got the nod versus Austin.
Before
Oh
before we
wait,
hold on,
that
I wanted to
Dudley.
ask you something.
What's up?
Do you think so? When we're talking about Triple H and this injury, right? So he
Yeah.
pulls his quad in that tag team match the week before. Okay, continues the match, gets put into the walls of Jericho. All right. And I wrote down a question here asking if you thought that Trips asked for it or if Jericho just did it. But now that I'm thinking about it, I remember that Hunter, at least according to Jericho in his book, that Hunter did ask for it to happen. Like Jericho did not want, Jericho wasn't going to do it.
Huh.
But
What's the spot?
Hunter called for the walls. It's when he put
Show
him in the
must go on.
right. It's when he put him in the walls of Jericho on the table or what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I remember that story now from Jericho's book where he was like, he was telling him he wasn't going to do it. And Hunter was like, bullshit, you're not. Put me in the walls.
That's insane.
What a dude. I mean, come on, man. This dude,
What
say
a
what you want
badass.
about him, but gosh,
He 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 paid his dues.
dude,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
The
saying, man.
the Dudley Holly match went 3:05.
Another 3-minute match.
Yeah.
How about that?
Chris Jericho Big Show match is still the longest one on the card up until now. 4:31.
Also, Jim Ross mentions at the end of that medical video that Triple H will be out at least 4 months, which is laughable. Because, I mean, at that point, it would have been like September, and he was out like another like 4 months on. He was out like 8 months total. So,
Yeah.
JR being super like rosy colored glasses there for Vince, you know, but like that was not happening. But yeah, then we get
So
Benoit and Austin, main event time.
Benoit versus Austin being accompanied to the ring by Vince McMahon.
And I think we failed to mention at this point that the show, well, I mean, you did mention at the top, of course, that we were in Canada.
Yeah, because Vince shat on Canada pretty hard in the beginning. Actually, he kind of boosted them up but in a very negative way, positively.
And then we get, basically, long story short, they decide to do the Montreal finish here.
Yeah, the Calgary screw job.
Now,
Did you see the who puked sign in the audience when they were fighting on the outside?
no,
There was a who puked sign on the outside.
he's
Oh,
gonna
right in the front
puke.
row. Yeah. Oh man. And then Earl Hebner did the arm kick. I've always liked the Earl Hebner arm kick.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like when you check if someone's dead in a movie,
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, no, it's when he's holding on the ropes.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When the guy's holding on the ropes, when he's got him in the abdominal stretch,
Yeah.
and he holds on the ropes. Uh,
He'd do that spot every now and then.
yeah, that's like his specialty.
Yeah.
And then when Austin was on the top uh of the turnbuckle and his tights were halfway down his ass, and they panned over, you can see it from like his waist, and then you see nothing but white, and then you see his black trunks again.
Right.
And then they panned to the front of him and they cleared out onto the audience, and there's just like women with cameras, a whole line of them. So somewhere out there is just a bunch of pictures of Austin's white ass.
Everyone in their disposable cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an experience that was, you know what I mean? You spend $8 to $10 on this camera, take all these pictures, and then you get them back a week later and you realize they were all garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that
Oh,
was
I
great.
hated that. I just found a bunch of those containers here. Bunch of undeveloped film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Got a few of them.
That would be interesting. I wonder. Who
Yeah.
knows what kind of gems you may have, Vito?
I think it's mostly Laura's family's pictures. Maybe some good ones. Who knows?
Well,
Um,
you knew they were doing the Montreal finish the minute that they announced Hebner as the ref. Like as soon as they
yeah.
did that, I was like, "Oh God, are they
Yeah.
gonna do
And they're in
Montreal?"
Calgary.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then dude, afterwards when Jericho came down and they were beating him up, did you see over there it's was hard to see, but in the left side screen, Benoit was like laying into Vince. He got
right.
like three punches in the Vince and then rolled him in the ring. I think he rolled him in the ring. And then like was beating him in the ring too, like stomped him. I was like, how is he getting away with this?
Lay it in thick, pal.
Yeah, and that Austin match went 11-12. So
Well, at least they gave them a little bit of time, even though it was for a screwed finish. And uh, Jericho ends up attacking Austin, and we basically end the show with Austin in the walls and Vince in the crossface
yeah,
at the same time. So basically, Vince just taking the place of Triple H here in the angle, really. And we'll see where it goes from here.
hey, how are we doing on time? Can we talk about something real quick?
Do it. Let's do it.
You want to run down tomorrow's card?
Survivor Series, let's do it.
Yes. All right, let me pull her up real quick.
Survivor Series
War
2023.
games.
War Games.
War games. Okay, here we go. We got
The match beer.
Gunther versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. We got you know how often I pay attention to this. I've only caught this every once in a while. Is he set to lose his title? I heard the other day that he has said something about someone asked him if he would ever cash in his Intercontinental title for a world title shot, and he looked at them like they were stupid or said that was a horrible idea or something like that. He likes being Intercontinental champion, so what do you think? You think he'll lose it?
Nah.
No, he retains. I feel that too.
Especially not to the Miz.
You think his career is over?
I mean, Miz is Miz. I don't think his career is over, but I mean, this is just, it's just, they're just trying to have a match here. It's not going to be anything important. A Gunther win, but I,
So
I don't even think it's going to be that good.
no. Then we got Mommy Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark for the Women's World Championship. You see Mommy losing?
I mean, no. Hopefully Zoe Stark can have a pretty good match with her, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anything on like the high level, like a Charlotte Rhea level or anything like that. But it should be fine.
Then I'm gonna skip what they have here and go Santos Escobar against Carlito. That should be a banger.
Have they
Uh,
been doing stuff with Escobar?
he's got this little thing with Rey Mysterio, I think.
So he turned
'Cause-
he turned on
yeah,
the LWO or something,
yeah, because of Carlito.
right?
It was like, oh, you're letting him be in here, type of thing. The
I
old
see.
guy. So
Huh.
be cool to see Carlito rest of the pay per view.
Well,
So
Carlito
then we
is
got,
looking pretty jacked nowadays.
yeah, and then we got War Games. We got Cody, Seth freaking Rollins, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn versus and Randy Orton versus
Randy.
Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre. Judgment Day is Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dirty Dom, and JD McDonough. What do you think? Got the faces or Judgment Day on that one? Got Randy
Eh,
coming back.
I think something's probably going to be afoot with the whole Randy thing, and I think the heels probably will end up winning, more than likely. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, they're in Chicago.
I just don't see any reason for faces to go over. Yes, they are in Chicago. I know we've been well, not
That's all
us,
I'm
but
gonna say. I'm not gonna say anything else. I think Judgment Day is probably gonna pull it off. Heels win about War Games a lot.
right. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there. We're just not gonna speak of it.
No,
Uh, so
I'm not gonna even entertain
uh,
the thought because I just know it's not happening.
so women's War Games match is Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch against the the new and confusing Damage Control, Bailey, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. So there's that.
Well, I'm gonna go with the faces, I guess, since I took the heels in the other one.
Yeah, that's a good
But
plan. Because I feel
I don't
like
know.
Bailey is gonna get kicked out of the foreign group, the three Japanese chicks and the Australian girl
Right?
with the annoying
Yeah,
American girl. Yeah.
man. I don't know what it is. I was like, I tried to get into this card and this whole thing, but I mean, you just read over it, man. Like it's really a nothing happening show.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like who
Nope.
really cares? There's nothing of any significance that's going to come out of it. So it'll
Nope.
be a
Just war
fun show.
games.
But even that just seems a little bit thrown together.
Yeah, but honestly, it doesn't matter who's in war games. It's a fun match to watch.
Right.
Yeah. And I sent you the picture of who I fought in war games on WWE 2K23. That was fun.
See, if we
Just
had
to let you know, everybody who's listening, I download the AEW roster on 2K23 and had the Elite go against the NWO in War Games. As you can probably know, Kenny Omega pinned, I believe, or no, Matt Jackson pinned X Pac, I believe is what it was. But yeah, really fun. But War
see
Games, looking forward to it.
see that would be worth something. That would be something to get excited about. But I mean, it's gonna be a fine show, I
Yeah.
think. But luckily, now that it's gonna come and go, man, we just got like a month more of like kind of boring WWE to get through, and then it's Rumble, it's Mania season. Um, we got to suffer through, I think, another like month of like basically nothing happening.
Actually, I think if someone, if whoever is still listening to this video or podcast, I think I want to bring this up right now. I'd like to talk about in a week or two, maybe talking about this Continental Classic tournament AEW is having. Get our thoughts on tournaments like that.
Another tournament.
Yeah.
Now this time they're doing a thing like a
like the G1.
It's like the G1, yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it. I want to get your thoughts on it on the later show. So
we'll talk about that next time around. Well, folks, I believe we are at our cutoff for this episode, but yes, please join us as we continue on this journey of the WCW invasion. All in all, not a whole lot to report out of this Raw, but it was the very first shot fired for what it was. Of course, the Lance Storm. Yep. Of course, the Lance Storm run in.
Awesome.
This begins our journey as far as the WCW invasion goes, I guess. So are we doing the SmackDowns too, or are we just going to do the Raws? It's kind of hard to say because I think some important stuff does happen on SmackDown throughout the course of this.
We'll figure it out. Let's play it by ear.
Yes, we'll let you know. We might decide one way or the other by the next time we roll. Who knows? But that is it, folks. Thank you very much for joining us on this journey. Make sure you do whatever you got to do to find your way back to us if you're just finding us. If you're just finding us for the first time.
But you should always be liking and subscribing and telling your friends about us, especially if you like invasions.
Tell all your wrestling friends. Tell all the wrestlers.
Put it here, pal.
Let's do it. Wait, my camera's over here. I'm looking at you here, but my camera's actually right here. Too sweet me, Vito. We are out. We'll catch you guys next time as we continue the invasion. The WCW invasion. Yeah.
Still got